What is going on, everybody? My name is Mike Cooper. This is the Scarlet Standard, and welcome back to another episode of the Rebel Daily Drive. We are back to talk about which UNLV player is going to take the biggest step and make the biggest impact in 2026. I put an article out about this. Make sure you head over to the-scarlet-standard.com to check out all of my articles, all of my positional group breakdowns, which player I think is going to take the biggest step. If you haven't already, check out our videos on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you're following us on all social media at SS_media-LV. It's under there, under my name in the bottom left corner if you can't see it, or you didn't hear it, or don't want to hear it. But I have it up so you remember to see it. If you haven't already, go over to VegasVarsity.com. Vegas Varsity, your home for all Rebel gear, all Vegas gear, and the best Vegas gear in town. If you want to check out and get a Scarlet Standard hat, a Scarlet Standard shirt, or even this Scarlet Standard hat, use my promo code SSM10 to get 10% off all orders from Vegas Varsity. Also, if you haven't already, head over to our Twitter and our Instagram and our Facebook. We have a giveaway going on. I know I said I will do the drawing on the next episode. I will do the drawing after this episode when I drop the preview of what team in the Mountain West is coming up next. Speaking of that, I'm doing a series. I'm trying to get guys to join. I think I'm doing UTEP next. But anyways, on that next episode, I'll do the drawing. But our collab with Lefty J's, the best Hawaiian barbecue, not only in Las Vegas, but in the country. Check them out. They have two locations, one on Twain and University Center. That's Lefty J's one. And then number 2 over on Maryland, right across the street from UNLV. If you win our contest, you will get a free lunch, and I will send you over a coupon that is redeemable for one free meal. It is my go-to Hawaiian spot. It should be yours too. Make sure you like, repost, comment on those posts to have your chance to enter and win. Today, we're going to talk about which player is going to take the biggest step and is ready to take the biggest step in 2026. We have the obvious names that we know we need to take the big step. We need Jackson Arnold to get to a, let's not say Calandria level, but a better player than what he was at Auburn and Oklahoma. We obviously know he's going to get a lot of the attention. We know the number one star on this team is Jet Thomas. Jet is going to take UNLV to wherever they need to go if they want to go to the promised land. But those type of players are not the one I'm really focused about. I think it comes, you have receivers who returned from last season who were on limited targets and have a chance to become a bigger part of this offense. You have defensive backs who have been on the field, but the defense side of the ball really struggled last year. There weren't very many bright spots on Paul Gunther's defense last year. Can we have guys on the defensive side who have already been here take that next step? The running back room. Who is going to step up and take that number 2 spot behind Jet Thomas? Kayvon Lee did a great job in that role last year. He was a great number 2 back to have with Jet when Jet was either needed a spell, when he missed some games with injuries, when he looked hampered, or he just wasn't himself. So what running back in that running back room can take that step and go forward? Then I have a guy on here who's a veteran. He has been a part of UNLV's roster for 2 years now. This is year 3. He's been a starter for the last year and a half. Usually you don't put starters like that to take a next big step, but I think this lineman, everybody knows for the Rebel fan base, needs to take that next step for UNLV to get where they need to go. And I think that's where this roster starts to get interesting. You can go look at new guys. You can look at different position groups. You can look at different aspects of this team. But these are the guys that I think need to take the next step. And we're going to start in the receiver room. The number 1 and most obvious, he's been getting love. He got love from Phil Steele. I talked about it on our last episode of when I talked about which freshman can make an impact. Taeshaun Lyons is the easiest player, I think, to put in this conversation. because he had flashes in 2025 of his production that pointed that he could take the next step and become a bigger role. Phil Steele clearly saw that as well, and he saw that in the development and what he could do in Dan Mullen's offense. Phil Steele named Lyons second team All-Mountain West preseason. After last year, he caught 16 passes for 241 yards and 3 touchdowns, averaging 15.1 yards per catch. The ball found him when he got the ball, he was able to make plays. I think that what you need from Taeshaun Lyons is him. You don't need him to be a different type of player because every receiver is always different. You can't compare him to Jaden Bradley. You can't compare him to Ricky White or Jacob DeJesus in the past. You can't compare him to different types. Every receiver is their own unique player. And I think what you need from him is to not change his game, but you need him to be able to handle the larger role that's going to come for him. I mean, and he's shown flashes. The 72-yard touchdown against Hawaii, the 39-yard touchdown against Colorado State. Those were big moments and big plays and big situations. And it reminds you that he can stretch the field and punish defenders when they either, one, they lose track on him, but two, when he creates space and gets open. Now, if he becomes UNLV's number one option, can he handle that role? Can he handle getting the team's number one the defense's number one corner every single game? We'll see. But I think that 16 catches can now turn into 35 or 40. I think you need him to be able to take that next step. And for this offense to go where it needs to go, whether it's with Orji or with Jackson Arnold, which most likely it's going to be Jackson Arnold. I'm still staying on record by that. Whoever that number one receiver steps up to be, and I think that can be Taeshaun Lyons, that's going to be who needs to step up and become that number one option and go to for whoever is that quarterback. The next receiver I think that can step up and take that next step, and like same thing like Taeshaun Lyons, we saw flashes of it last year, is big play Kayden McGee. We interviewed him last year. He was confident that because when he stayed under Coach Dell, when Odom's staff left, that he was going to take that next step. And you saw him over the course of the season last year, different sets, different gadget plays, different, his role continually grew and grew and grew. And now he's ready to take that next step. Can he take over maybe the number one receiver role? I'm not ready to put that in DC Lions yet, but can he take that supplementary number two role and continue to develop and grow in Dan Mullen's system? Phil Steele thinks so. I was happy with what I saw from McGee in spring. Phil Steele named him fourth team All-Mountain West. Last year, he had 7 carries, 56 yards, and a touchdown. He had a block punt. Another block punt he returned for a touchdown. He had the walk-off touchdown from the backfield against Utah State. So where does he fit in and what steps can he take? Because he's going to have to make a bigger impact than he made in 2025 and take that next step with all the production that's gone from that receiver room. Now, does he need to be your traditional every down receiver, go-to receiver to matter? No, I don't think so. But he's going to have specialty packages like JoJo Earl did, and he's going to take more role and more snaps and be on the field for different types of plays, whether it's motion touches, screen plays, jet actions, getting return games, being back on special teams and making an impact. There's going to be something each week that they're going to play for Kayden McGee. And the more and more and more he shows that development is growing and coming, they're going to put the ball in his hands. And, every receiver is different. Taeshaun Lyons may have to step up and be that possession, guy that needs 10 targets a game. Kayden McGee may not do that. You may not need him to get 10, 20 touches a game or 10, 12 touches a game. He only need 5 or 6, and he could make a massive impact for this team. And he could have a big role. It's going to help this offense immensely. Now, I mentioned running backs. Everybody knows Jet Thomas. Jet 2K. Jet is almost on the verge. He's going to finish number 2, I think, in rushing in UNLV history. I hope he can break Charles Williams' record. I don't know if he'll get there. He's 1,800 yards away, just about. But a lot of what this offense could do is going to be based on what Jet can do. But there are opportunities for this running back room to step up. Kayvon Lee had 100 touches, 438 yards, and 6 touchdowns with 19 catches, 164 yards. At one point during the season, he had a rushing touchdown in 4 consecutive games, and he gave the Rebels a physical second option behind Jet. Now, which running back in that running back room is going to step up and be that? My number one choice is Jaylon Glover. Glover obviously returns for year 2 in Dan's system. He looked like he put on some weight. He looks more like a more physical ground and pound back, but he still has the speed. Last year, he had 64 carries for 384 yards, 6 yards a carry, 6 catches, 51 yards. But he didn't have that consistency piece that I think Dan and Corey Dennis were looking for. And he kind of fell out of favor in their rotation. The Rebels are going to need a solid number 2. And is that number 2 going to be Jaylon Glover? They need it to be. They need somebody to step up. Dan loves playing 2 or 3 running backs in a game. I don't know if I'll go stretches 4, but if he has the talented room enough, I wouldn't be surprised if 3 or 4 running backs get on the field during a game. And last year, you thought that you had a 3-headed monster with Glover, with Lee, and with Thomas. Jet still had 1,000 yards, but was hurt. Kayvon Lee was the bruiser, and then you just never got the consistency from Glover. So with those touches available now, this is where it becomes interesting. Who is going to step up and take those touches that Kayvon Lee is now opened? Is it those touches going to go to Jet? Is those touches going to go to a Darrien Jones who missed last year? He's my next guy who can. I'm high on Darrien Jones. I love the kid. I felt bad for him. He had some issues with Odom and Brennan Marion. Stuck around, started to get on the field and be in rotation. Then he tore up his shoulder against Sam Houston and missed the rest of the season. I think he's a sleeper in this group. Kamran Williams is another guy as well who I think can take some of those touches. But Jones, I think he played in 4 games last year. He got 2 carries, 9 yards. Both those carries came against Sam Houston, but he was injured for the entire season. He played through the shoulder injury. So his stats and what his production has been at UNLV is not going to tell you a lot. But I think with him healthy, him looking physically better, him having the opportunity to get carries in a less crowded room with Kayvon Lee gone, you're going to have a different type of player back there. He is more built like a Kayvon Lee, not Jaylon Glover. Jaylon Glover is your speed. You still can be a bruiser, but he has speed. He's going to be your breakaway guy, pass catching back. I'm not saying Jet. This is separate from Jet. Jet's in his own category. But if you want a bruiser back like a Kayvon Lee, will Darrien Jones get all 100 touches? Probably not. Should he get 30 to 40 carries this year? Probably. He told me last year his goal was to get 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. Is that doable? Maybe. Depends on how Dan and Corey call the games. But I think he's going to have a chance to break this rotation. I think you're going to see him in the running back rotation. And Kamran Williams is also one of those guys as well who I think can take over that role. I mean, he didn't play much last year, but he had a very strong spring. And obviously there's carries available. He was a highly touted freshman coming in. So there's a chance that he's going to be there, and they're going to do committee behind Jet. And I think there's opportunities for him, too, to get some carries back there. So I think those are 3 guys that are going to have to step up in the running back room. You want to see for this team to be successful. Number one, you want Jet to stay healthy all season. But you need to have insurance and good insurance behind him when he's off the field for a blow, needs a breather. Every running back gets tired. It's just inevitable. So who is that going to be? Is Glover going to step up into that role? Is it going to be Darrien Jones or Kamran Williams? You need somebody in this offense to be able to take over that number 2 running back spot and take it with authority. So that's why I put all 3 guys who have a chance to break out and step up, because they need to make an impact. And with those carries available, there's plenty to go around. This offense averaged 195 yards on the ground last year. So you have opportunity. You have touches available. Who's going to step up and take it? My number one choice, obviously, like I mentioned, is Jaylon Glover to take that next step. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kamran Williams or Darrien Jones are pushing him for carries either. Defense is now where we're going to go to next. Defense is a huge question mark going into 2026. The return of Mike Shear, is that going to revamp this linebacker room? Is Paul Guenther getting a full year of film and a full offseason to make changes to his defense to find fits going to improve this defense? So why am I mentioning defensive players with this who need to take the next step? Well, UNLV has some very good veterans returning, and one of those guys is Quindarius Keys. Quindarius Keys had a good season last year. 14 tackles, 2 interceptions, 6 pass breakups, and had a pick 6. He was second on the team in pass breakups and tied for third in interceptions. So he obviously has the experience, but they need someone other than, obviously Jake Pope is going to be the leader of the defense. They need somebody else to step up and take over that fiddle in the secondary that's not Jake Pope. And I think Quindarius Keys has a chance to do that. Now, there's many guys you can go for that spot. And I think that Keys, who was in and out of the rotation on the field, off the field last year, if he can take that step and be a full-time, major contributor to what Paul Guenther is trying to do, this defense can take a step forward. And it's the same thing with Mumu bin Wahad. Mumu and Keys both decided to return and play another year under Paul Guenther. Mumu played in all 12 games last year. He was listed as a starter for 4 of them. 32 tackles, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery with 1 pass breakup. He has the chance, like I mentioned, the same as Keys, where they need a complementary piece to step up on the defensive side in the secondary and be able to take a bigger role and be able to be more of an impact player. They lost Jaheim Joseph. They've lost, Amaris Brown. They need guys who are going to take the Brown role and step up, and the Jaheim Joseph role and step up. And those 2 guys fit what that needs. Now, can they not talk shit and get kicked off the field like they were threatened to during spring ball? That was a problem. There were a lot of penalties that these refs during spring ball let go. Can they play cleanly? Dan got after both of them during spring, strictly because he was not happy with how they did it. Both of them got demoted to the 2s at one point during spring ball. So can they clean it up? Can they take a leadership role? And can they continue to push this defense to go to the next level and be more consistent and be better than they were last year? Because they can't get any worse. But you did see progress towards the end of the season, especially after that New Mexico game. So can they continue to carry that momentum and and be able to take that next level step and go to the next level? That's what Dan and Paul and Akeem Davis are going to be looking for in these guys. And those are 2 in the back end of the secondary that really need to take the next step, and who I think will take the next step to be potentially all Mountain West players back there. If we're going to look on the boundary now, the boundary has some guys that were highly recruited transfers, whether it was this year or last year, that need to take a big role this year. Denver Harris is one of those guys. So Denver Harris was a highly touted recruit transfer coming in last year. He had stops at UTSA, LSU, and Texas A&M. He only played in 4 games last year if you count the bowl game. He was hurt for a majority of the season. You need his talent on the boundary, and it was definitely missed. So to have him potentially fully healthy is only going to help and bring a veteran presence to this secondary, and you're going to need him to take that next step forward. What now? Is it a all-conference step up? I don't know, but I'm not asking for an all-conference step up from Denver Harris. I'm asking for a serviceable corner that's not going to get burned and can help the safeties and the secondary. And I think Denver Harris can step into that role and take a bigger role than he had last year. It's going to be interesting to see if he can stay healthy, if he can get on the rotation, and if he can stay consistent. When his last year at UTSA, he had 16 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and 3 pass breakups. So he wasn't targeted much, but he still was able to put production on the field. So let's see what he can do in a full healthy season at UNLV after basically a missed and wasted season. Avery Helm, also probably another guy who's going to play alongside, if not across the field from Harris. Avery Helm played football. He transferred in from TCU and Florida. TCU played 15 games, 27 tackles, 6 pass breakups. In 2023, he started all 11 games, had 22 tackles, a sack, a fumble, and 5 pass breakups. He redshirted in 2024 because of injury, and in 2025, he had 5 tackles and 1 pass breakup after returning from injury. So he's interesting. Projected by Phil Steele, first team all conference preseason. He's had productive years at the Big 12 level and at the Power 4 level. He missed all of spring due to injury. So can he stay healthy? And then if he's healthy, can he go and have a better productive season than he had in 2025? I think so. Now, do we need him to be better than what he did at TCU in 2023? No. Do we need him to be that consistent? Yeah, you need him to be that consistent, especially in the Mountain West, in all the different play styles that this conference offers. So there's plenty of opportunity for him to get on, obviously, to make a massive impact. And Phil Steele thinks he's going to make a massive impact. So I put him on this list strictly because of that. It's going to see, can he stay healthy? And what kind of impact can he make? The last one, the last 3 guys we're going to talk about, 2 are on the defense side of the ball, and 1 is an offensive guy. Let's hit on Cam Santee. Cam Santee had a up and down spring. I had some clips of him talking during spring where he's ready to take that leadership and take that step forward. Obviously, he was recruited by Mike Shear. He's a Jackson Woodard type player if you watch his play style. Phil Steele picked him as 4th team all conference preseason. He was very productive at Holy Cross last year. 110 tackles, 14 for loss, 4.5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, and 5 pass breakups. Do we need him to be that? Well, you need somebody to replace Marcel in the middle. Do we need 110 tackles? No. Do we need consistent play and somebody be a leader like Marcel McDuffie was in the middle? Absolutely. Now, Cam was up and down with the 1s and 2s during spring ball, so I think he's going to win a starting job. But it's going to be interesting to see what kind of role he has. But he is one of those guys that you need to have step up and make a huge impact on the defense side of the ball, because you're replacing a 5-year guy in Marcel McDuffie. Now he couldn't even fill the shoes that Jackson Woodard tried to fill, or that Jackson Woodard left. So am I asking Cam Santee to be Jackson Woodard? No, I'm not. Does he need to be somewhere between Marcel McDuffie and Jackson Woodard? Probably, for this defense to be one of the better defenses in the Mountain West. So he needs to be able to take that step and grow, and we can't have growing pains like we had last season. And that kind of leads into Blycing. Blycing came back after a up and down 2025 with Paul Gunther. Blycing is a big. He had a huge impact under Barry Odom. He fit Mike Shear's system very well. So him coming back and being named 3rd team All Mountain West is huge. He had 61 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble in 2025. So he had a very, very productive season. He needs to take another step. And if him and Santee are going to patrol the middle, you need them to make a major impact. And both of them need to be all conference level players. And that's the next step, I think, for Blycing. I think 3rd team is too low for him. I think his goal should be a 1st team all conference linebacker. I'm not going to put that expectation on Santee, but Blycing is going to take that next step. Blycing could have gone and played at the Power 4 level. So he easily could have went with Odom as well last year to Purdue. So I think that he's going to take that next step. And once he takes that next step, he's going to become most valuable player on this defense. And my expectation for him is to become first team on Mountain West, not third. The last player we're going to talk about is Will Thomas. Now, I got some flack for putting Will Thomas on this list because Will Thomas started 13 games last year. He started games the year before that. Now, why would you put a multi-year starter on a player that needs to step up as a player that needs to step up in 2026? The offensive line has had issues. It had issues last year, had issues protecting Calandria. You can't have those issues in 2026. He took a lot of heat on social media. He kept getting called the revolving door, the Ole offensive lineman. He needs to play better. Did he play better than what fans gave him credit for? Probably. A lot of guys did last year, but fans didn't want to see that. So what does he need to do? Why does he need to take the next step? Well, when you have Austin Boyd returning and moving to center, and Austin Boyd is a preseason all-conference player. You have Jackson Brown, the Cal and Pitt transfer, who is another all-conference player on one side. You need a all-conference level player potentially on the other side of the ball to protect Jackson Arnold or Alex Orji. You can't have a revolving door rotational guy constantly in and out of the lineup, even if he is a starter. And Will Thomas has the potential. He's had that potential for 2 years now to take that next step. So I expect him to take that next step and put the haters to sleep. No all-conference pick for him, but I think he could play his way into it, especially if they play well, especially if they can run the ball and have the number one offense in the Mountain West. You're going to see a lot of these guys turn up on all-conference teams, whether first, second, or third team. So I think Will Thomas has the potential, has the skill set, has obviously the body and the body of work to take that next step. So he needs to do that. Those are my guys who I think are going to make the biggest impact in 2026. Some guys you may have expected, some guys you may not have. But thanks for tuning in. And like I say, always make sure you like and subscribe to all of my work at the Scarlet Standard. I have plenty of articles coming out until July 29th when football is finally back in full swing to gear up for the Memphis game, week 0. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited for football. A lot of this dead period is a lot of coach ranking talks and things like that. So I may do one of those. I actually may do one of those in the next Rebel Daily Drive. I don't know. I've seen a lot of content people do that. We'll see. Depends on what I want to do. But make sure you like and subscribe to this page. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at SS_MediaLV. It is right there underneath my name in case you forget. Stay loyal, stay loud, bring back Hey Reb, and go Rebels.